Hello, friends. Welcome to the next episode of the AD Show. आज we are not going to talk about cricket or football. Today we are going to embark on a new journey. That's UFC. The last pay-per-view UFC had, we had Whittaker versus Adesanya 2. So let's discuss it. बहुत उसकी बात हुई है. There were a lot of things said. But let me start from the beginnings. They are actually neighbors. Robert Whittaker is from Australia. Israel Adesanya is from New Zealand. Actually, he's from Nigeria, but right now he lives in and is a citizen of New Zealand. तो बहुत hype था इनके around. और the first fight actually when it happened, Robert Whittaker was the champion and the challenger was Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya is fondly called the last Stylebender, and Whittaker is called Bobby Knuckles and also the Reaper. The last fight, Whittaker was looking really tensed. His body language was really tensed, and Adesanya came out all guns blazing. He was dancing on his entry. It was like almost like a WWE entrance, but he was phenomenal, and he not only KO'd Bobby Knuckles, he did it in the first round also. But unfortunately, the bell rang, and in round 2, Bobby Knuckles was again knocked out by Israel Adesanya. So in a nutshell, Israel Adesanya was the dominant one that night, and he KO'd Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker twice. Now, after that, Adesanya had his fights with Paulo Costa. We all remember how it went south for Paulo Costa. And then he had the fight with Marvin Vettori. Actually, Marvin Vettori survived the fight, but I don't think he was looking for a win. I think he just wanted to survive. He just wanted to show that I can stand 5 rounds with Israel Adesanya. There was nothing on show for Marvin Vettori that night. Whittaker, on the other hand, took the long route. He defeated, I think it was Darren Till and then Jared Cannonier and Kevin Gastelum. Now, interestingly, Jared Cannonier, whom Whittaker has already defeated, can be the next number 1 contender for the title match. ये बहुत interesting है. I think Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker are way above the other title contenders, the other ranks in this weight category, and yes, they reign supreme. तो ये fight जो second fight थी, इसमें there was a lot of hype around it, especially because Robert Whittaker accepted that he was under a lot of pressure after the first fight, and he wasn't feeling interested enough in the game. He was winning everything. He did not have anything to look up to. He was already the champion. The motivation was very low. The pressure was for real because he was playing in front of his home crowd and it was absolutely jam full. And this time he saw a sports psychologist, and I think he was looking different. I think he was looking refreshed. He was looking more process driven rather than result driven. Adesanya, on the other hand, looked himself. He was very comfortable wearing his hand nails, wearing his painted nails and his clothes and everything. He expressed himself, and he regularly expresses himself through his colors, through his choices. And so this was built very nicely. And there was a mutual respect about both of them. What happened was Israel Adesanya defended his belt and again defeated Robert Whittaker. But the problem herein is that some of the people who saw the match, even some of the veterans, felt that Whittaker should have won that match. Even I felt at that time, just after watching the match, that Whittaker should have been declared the winner. I will tell you why and how. So the judges scored the contest 49-46. One judge scored 49-46 in favor of Israel. The other 2 judges scored 48-47 in favor of Israel. So the other 2 judges, according to them, the match was more close. Now we have to be very careful about what these three judges did. The first judge, he gave one round to Whittaker, and that round was round number 2. The other two judges gave both rounds 4 and 5 to Whittaker, and rounds 1, 2, and 3 to Adesanya. Now let me come to this round by round and how I felt about this fight going by each round. In the first round, I think there was no contest. Israel Adesanya was reigning supreme. He looked so confident about himself, and Bobby Knuckles was absolutely, you can say, he was very tentative, and he was not throwing his shots. He was tentative about wrestling or grappling also. So I felt the first round, and even Adesanya knocked him down once. I don't know, it looked a very strange knockdown, because that punch was straight onto his, that jab was straight onto his chest, onto Robert Whittaker's chest, and Robert Whittaker fell down. So yeah, it was a knockdown, and I don't think there can be any qualms about who won the first round. It was crystal clear that Robert Whittaker had lost the first round, and Israel Adesanya won the first round. What happened in the second round is, now I felt second round was won by Robert Whittaker. मैं ये क्यों कह रहा हूँ? Because Robert Whittaker, I think if you go purely by number of shots, Whittaker lost this round also, but Whittaker scored knockdowns. Whittaker scored actually 4 takedowns, not only in this round, but across the whole match, across the whole spectrum of the 5 rounds. There were 4 instances of takedowns when Robert Whittaker successfully took down Adesanya. I think because of that very lackluster first round, whatever little or whatever he did in the second round, Whittaker looked much better. But in my opinion, second round belonged to Whittaker. In the third round, I think Adesanya again changed the gear, and Adesanya looked the better person, the better striker in fact. I think 4th and 5th rounds were close, but I think they belong to Whittaker. Whittaker should have won the 4th and 5th rounds, as the 2 judges seeded in their result. So I think, according to me, the 2nd, 4th, and 5th rounds were won by Whittaker, and the 1st and 3rd rounds were won by Israel Adesanya. Now, this was a very close fight. Apart from the first round and probably the 5th round, nobody can be very sure about who won what round. If you go by strikes only, I think Israel will win most of the rounds, but the difference here is those 4 big takedowns. Yes, I know in MMA people speak a lot about what you did after that takedown is important, but in many of the fights I have seen that just by being in a half mount or in a full mount position after taking down their position, people have won because of those takedowns. So it was a bit strange to see. On the other hand, I will also say that just striking wise, I felt Adesanya looked the better striker. Adesanya was picking him apart like he does with any other opposition. He was maintaining that distance, and but where the fight change was, I think, when after the first round or the second round, Whittaker's coach, I think, he told him not to go for these big expensive shots and asked him to focus on that jab straight down the pipe, and Bobby caught Israel a couple of times, in fact a few times, by that jab. So I like that strategy. Those left hooks were also very successful for Bobby Knuckles. Israel Adesanya's leg kicks were really important, because I saw Robert was not able to stand with weight on his front foot. His weight was constantly on the back foot because of the fear that Israel may strike that leg kick again. That was really good from Israel. And those clinch exchanges, I think there were a lot of clinch exchanges, and whatever I can recollect, most of those clinch exchanges were won by Whittaker. I just want to say, if Whittaker would have been a champion and Israel Adesanya would have been the contender, then after this fight, I feel Robert Whittaker would still have won the game, would have retained his belt, just because of the fact that I feel that in this case, because Israel Adesanya is the reigning champion, the judges were not that much convinced that yes, Whittaker challenged him that much. I feel in close matches, this is a very strange rule in UFC that in close matches, contender has to be very clearly above the champion in order to get the desired result. Case in point being, the latest heavyweight match between Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou, I think Ngannou was the champion and he did win the fifth round just by getting him down. It was a takedown and he did nothing on the ground. Cyril was very comfortable in the fifth round. It was just that he was being taken down repeatedly by Francis Ngannou. This Jaylee Wang was just taking down, Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas was just taking down Jaylee Wang. I don't think she did a lot on the ground. But even taking a successful takedown and then the half mount or that full mount position was good enough for Rose Namajunas to win that fight. I think it was probably because Israel is the champion and the judges felt that the challenger could have done more in order to secure the win. Apart from that, I think it was a very close fight and I definitely think that there is going to be a third fight between these two. Not right now. I think Bobby will again fight a couple of other contenders, probably Marvin Vettori, because he has already defeated the rest of them. And I think Izzy will fight Cannonier. See, this is MMA. You can't say anything. Every matchup is different, but I cannot see Cannonier defeating Israel Adesanya right now. I think with an improved wrestling and with an improved takedown. By the way, Israel's takedown defense was emphatic, but I still feel the way he was, on a couple of occasions, the way Whittaker got to his back, I think it looked really dangerous for Izzy. And then in one of those moves, in fact, Bobby was on the verge of getting an RNC, a rear naked choke. But I think kudos to Israel. He didn't panic. He looked like a champion even when he was down. So yeah, it was a close fight. For me, Whittaker won rounds 2, 4 and 5 very clearly and Izzy won the rounds 1 and 3 very clearly. But hey, who am I? So yeah, this was about this fight. Another pay-per-view is coming. The recent news that is coming in is that Islam's match with his opponent has been, I think it was Benil Dariush. I think it has been cancelled because Dariush has been injured and I think Green is being asked to cover for that match. I think that is going to be an impeccable choice. Green is very good with his striking, just like Adesanya. But I think Islam Makhachev's wrestling abilities are really to look out for. I think Islam wins this by submission. Okay guys, this is all for now. I'll be coming back with the with the fifth episode, I think. I'm not sure. With the 5th episode of the AD show. And keep watching and keep subscribing. Please do subscribe. Remember, subscribe. Only if you like this video, only if you like whatever I'm doing, but do subscribe. Do watch out for the next video. And please mask up. Corona is still here. Omicron is still here. Ciao.